Welcome to Impact and Insight podcast. In this episode, shall be discussing the entertainment industry. With me in the studio is Dr. Lukman Sanusi, a veteran in the industry with 40 years experience as a creative professional. Dr. Sanusi founded Bubbles FM, an online radio station that dedicates itself to the arts, literature, and entertainment. Dr. Sanusi has written as a freelance to some of top Nigerian daily newspapers like The Guardian, This Day, and The Vanguard. He has been a visiting tutor to some of best UK universities like the Regent University UK and Goldsmith University. Currently, Dr. Sanusi is a research fellow at the University of Westminster, London. Thank you for coming to the studio, Dr. Sanusi.
Thank you for having me. I don't know about veteran, but because that word is being used by everybody now. So,
okay. We'll be looking at the entertainment industry, especially film. We know that with the recent tax reform, there are certain provisions that give some tax credit to that particular sector, classified as a priority sector. We're going to be looking at that particular section 166 of the Tax Reform Act, Nigerian Tax Act. Before we do that, this topic is so germane and interesting because our independent producers are producing film under a very difficult and challenging environment. Access to funding has been an issue, and the environment have not been really easy for them. So Dr. Sanusi will unbundle and unpack most of the challenges they have, and we look at the law and how the government policies can help in getting these things done. Before then, we put together a short documentary on the evolution of Nollywood for your viewing pleasure to set the stage and put us in the mood for this discussion. Thank you.
Nigeria's love affair with a moving image began long before the world knew the word Nollywood. But the path from celluloid to becoming one of the world's largest film industries is a story of resilience, creativity, and cultural pride. In the 1920s and 30s, the first films shot on Nigerian soil were colonial documentaries, stories told about Nigerians, not by Nigerians. Cinema halls emerged in Lagos, Kano, and Enugu, playing mostly Western and Indian films. The stage was set, but Nigerian voices were still waiting to be heard. After independence in 1960, a new wave of pioneers stepped behind the camera. Hubert Ogunde, often called the father of Nigerian theatre, released Aye in 1979, blending Yoruba folklore with cinema. Directors like Ola Balogun and Eddie Uboma pushed boundaries, creating feature films that spoke to Nigerian realities with Nigerian voices. These early filmmakers laid the foundation, cinema as a mirror of culture. But celluloid filmmaking was expensive, and Nigeria's economy was struggling. Film distribution collapsed. Most cinemas closed. Nigerian filmmaking was at a crossroads until a new technology changed everything. 1992, a low-budget Igbo language video thriller changed history. Living in Bondage, shot directly on video, became a nationwide sensation. Without formal studios, without major budgets, Nigerian filmmakers discovered an alternative. Shoot fast, shoot cheap, tell stories people care about. From living rooms to markets, thousands of films were produced. The world began to take notice. This was Nollywood. In the 2000s, Nollywood exploded, becoming the second largest film industry by volume. Storytelling expanded from melodramas to comedies, epics, and urban tales. Filmmakers built thriving careers, and Nigerian stars became continental icons. A new generation of filmmakers, Kemi Adetiba, Kunle Afolayan, Jade Oshiberu, CJ Obasi, brought back high-quality cinema. Studios emerged, cinemas returned, digital technology and global platforms took Nigerian stories worldwide. Films like The Wedding Party, Lionheart, Anikulapo, and Mami Water reached international audiences, proving that Nollywood wasn't just prolific, it was powerful. From colonial documentaries to VHS revolutionaries to global streamers, Nigeria's film industry is a testament to imagination without limits. A movement born from necessity, sustained by passion, and carried into the future by storytellers who refuse to stop creating. Nollywood. The story continues.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Thank you. Doctor, I would like to know from your experience, tell us your experience about the Nollywood industry. You've been in this industry for some years now.
Yeah.
Give us an idea of what you think the industry has developed and evolved from our home video days to the current times.
Right.
Yeah.
The birth of Nollywood
Yeah.
started right in my as we say, very before. I joined NTA as contract staff 1984-85 as a contract staff, from a script actor to script writing to production assistant to production manager, and before I became independent producer. I left 1993. This was right before, just as Nollywood was, I would say, giving birth to. And one of the things that actually gave birth to Nollywood was the independent producers. Back at NTA, where you have soap, especially a primetime soap, they had independent producer who'd be, given that, job to produce. For instance, Zebe Juro was one of them, Amaka Igwe of blessed memory, and co. Of course, I will not leave out Lola Fani Kayode, because I worked with her as well. And so, again, what catapulted Nollywood was also the fact that Babangida, our former head of state, liberated the broadcasting industry. That's at 1992. So this further helped, Nollywood. And if I remember, there was also, I think around 1992, independent producers had problems with, with NTA at the time, because, PZ, was a major sponsor of the prime time.
Oh, okay.
If you remember, and then there were a lot of politics going on. NCA then decided we're going to be producing our thing ourselves. It's not as if they don't have their own in-house producers, but they brought in independent producers to produce some of this soap. Like I said, Amaka Igwe, then Ripples with Zebe Juro and the rest. So at the birth of, when the broadcast industry was liberated, independent producers started producing. And then what also helped was the plastic industry.
Okay.
The plastic industry, I'll explain to you. Those are the traders, the Igbo traders in Idumota and in Weka Road.
Okay.
Plastic industry in the sense that they imported the VHS, cassettes, But then they realized that if you put material on these VHS cassettes, it moves market faster.
Oh.
Right? So then these, traders became a power block, sort of. independent producers were going to them to say, yeah, or they were going to independent producers to say, listen, if you can produce this for me, and then I'll give you some money. 150. A friend of ours, Kehinde Shoa guy, is it? I hope, yeah, was one of them who said, okay, fine. Amayo, Uzohai, and all that. They'll give them money, then they'll produce, and these people will put it on their VHS, and that was the birth of. At some point, these traders became a power block at the early stage of Nollywood. Of course, we can't forget living in bondage. There's been a lot of controversy over Nollywood and non-Nollywood. Who started it first? The Igbos, the Yorubas, and stuff. Because earlier than then, there is also
the likes of Ogunde.
No, not even that. They were doing films then. They were not doing home video.
Okay, yeah.
It's a clear difference between home video and film. The Ola Baloguns and the rest of them were doing film. The Tunde Kelanis were doing film. Although Tunde Kelani is not a crossover, but he sympathized with Nollywood too, more or less, because he was doing his thing. Taido Gindo and the rest of them were doing their thing. So but I don't want to go into the whole controversy, and it's still going on, so but because your earlier question was what is my I belong to that group of film television producers and whatnot who believe that Nollywood it's nothing. I don't want to be part of it. No, not at this stage. A friend of mine said, look, man, you are deceiving yourself. It's better you are part of this, movement now, than. But hey, 10 years down the line, Nollywood is big. Became the second largest film, industry in the world after Bollywood. So we're happy, and everybody now wants to associate themselves with Nollywood. I want to associate myself with Nollywood, and then Nollywood has also gone through its stages. Then after 10, 20 years, then you have new Nollywood.
Okay.
And what gave rise to that was that at the early stage, Nollywood was full of substandard productions in terms of quality, in terms of the script writing, the scripting rather, in terms of the technicality. There was a time they had problem with sound, and there was a lot of debate over that. But right now, at some point before the birth of new Nollywood, some of those were corrected. So I'll just, because I know you have more questions to ask me, I'll just stop there.
Yes. Let me take you from the statement, the birth of this new Nollywood.
Yeah.
What role did technology have in this?
The birth of new Nollywood. A lot. Okay. Now, apart from the technology, there are other key players that came into Nollywood that helped to more or less guide it or set the standard. For instance, 1992, if you remember, the regulation of broadcast industry or liberation of broadcast industry. And then as at 1994, it was further liberated to allow a company like MultiChoice to come in and play.
Okay.
Right? And that's when you have DSTV and the rest, They were showing, of course, foreign movies. At some point, because Nigeria were into their own thing. They want to see their own stories being told. Somehow, MultiChoice bought into that, and then they created African Magic. Obviously, they will need content, and then they begin to set the standard. Okay, if you must bring, it has to be, you have to shoot with this camera, we have to, your sound, da. So that also improved the quality of production. And then, of course, plus, other credible people were coming in. People were bringing funds into this. They wanted things to be done properly. Because African Magic were being shown not only in Nigeria, but in other African countries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you need to put your best foot forward. So technology, players and technology, because then they would say, and that was when at some point, when Nollywood started, we were in the era of pneumatic tape, if you understand, and linear editing, not non-linear. And then I remember when D5 camera, D500 or something, 500 came. It was, wow, that was the beginning of digital, and production were being, the quality of production was getting, better.
Getting boosted.
So technology in that sense, plus the key players, plus some other players in the industry contributed to, the quality of Nollywood films that we had.
Okay. In getting some of these things done properly, just like you mentioned, with the arrival of multi-choice and independent producers,
Yes.
you made mention of something which is funding.
Yes.
Right, access to funding. Up to today, I think is a major problem.
It is
for
still a major
independent
problem.
producers to access fund.
Yes.
In spite of the fact that governments at various times have tried to make funds available, but accessing it has been a problem.
Yeah.
What do you have to say about that? Have there been an improvement in this area now?
Well, quasi improvement, but it's only when you know the politics of accessing funds. Because beyond government, before government became very much interested in Nollywood, there were other banks who were interested, because Nollywood was holding sway, like I said, after 10 years, everybody in Africa want to watch Nollywood, despite the fact that, they were focusing on a particular theme, maybe ritual or whatnot and all that, and that also involved, again, like I said, other players helped too. So when these new players, came in, they steered the direction of Nollywood. Then don't forget that I said multi-choice.
Yeah.
And then there was also the advent of Netflix, which we're going to come into, the digital platform, which was, global, all right, which helped Nollywood to go global. Now, when you consider all of these factors,
Yeah.
other people were interested in Nollywood, not only for that global presence, because if you have a product and you want to put it on Nollywood, you know that it's going to go beyond Nigeria.
Yeah.
So I can't remember what year, but some banks came to Nollywood producers and said, we're going to give you these funds for you to produce quality. I know Zeb Ejuro, not Zeb, I'm not sure whether Zeb got part of the money, but Chico Ejuro, he was my friend, got the fund to produce. I'm not sure about names now, maybe Charles Novia. These are my friends in the industry, Fidelis Duca. So some of them got this money, and they were able to access it. However, some other people couldn't, because again, like I said, it depends on the politics and whatever that is surrounding the funds, which was good for Nollywood to open it up. Before government now says, oh yeah, we're going to come in, Nollywood is, at some point Nollywood was turning in money into, I think was making by 9 billion a year or so.
As revenue.
Revenue to government. So government became interested. But before the advent of, what's it called, Bank of Industry, but accessing these funds, a few people have been able to access the funds, but there are politics surrounding these things, and I don't want to go into that. A few people, but people who've got maybe ideas to go into this, they are restricted. Because
can we say the problem of the challenge of accessing this fund lie basically more with lack of adequate knowledge and understanding on the part of independent producers?
Yeah, you could say that. Some of the Nollywood producers are not very patient. They're not very, thorough. They are driven by passion. They just want to be, doing stuff, and they don't really have the patience for the legal aspect, because which comes down to structure And I'm sure we're going to be talking a lot about structure.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have proper structure in any industry anyway, there's bound to be problem. Because if you want to be the producer, director, script writer, location manager, and all that, there's going to be a problem. In the arts, it's always a collective will. Teamwork, as we say, that can guarantee you very good production or quality, whatever. But in the Nigerian case, you need somebody who is knowledgeable in the law. You need somebody who is knowledgeable in even money, your accountant,
management.
Funds. You need somebody who can manage the entire
and keep proper books.
Exactly. So, but that's why everything is just up, modeled up. But some players who have been able to distinguish themselves have been able to, take on maybe good managers, good lawyers, good accountants to help them, and then present a formidable front and access funds.
Okay. Most of the independent producers, in spite of the challenge of accessing these government funds most of the time, they are still able to somehow get funds to produce these films. Like I read recently, the Funke Akindele said she spent close to $1 billion to produce her recent film, which is I think is in cinemas or about to go to cinema, which is behind the
scenes. It's already premiered in the UK and it did very well, I understand.
So if Funke Akindele can access, probably, I don't know if it's through the bank but she's able to get that kind of money to shoot that film. I want to know if you can give my audience the kind of idea of having failed to access some of these government funds through the banks. Do they do crowdfunding for their films? I don't know.
Crowdfund, I don't know. I don't know any of the filmmakers who will be able to maybe do crowdfunding for their film. That might be. I'm not aware. But that would be a very good way to go if you can do that. But for you to do crowdfunding, you have to be sort of a name. Like if Funke should go out there to say, oh, crowdfunding for my next movie, I'm sure a lot of people would, chip in money. That's another way because, it's not only through the banks or financial institutions that you can get funding for your film. There is collaboration. You can collaborate with somebody who's got all the equipment or equipments. You can collaborate with someone who's got, who can help you with your finance. You can collaborate with somebody who can help you write a proposal, if you don't have the money to afford one. There is also that, key aspect because it's currency.
Co-production arrangement.
It's currency. It's currency. But down here in Nigeria, we like to carry everything on our head. Say, I want to do it all by myself. Except if you're lucky, you have a heavy financier. And some people have been very lucky. Some of these, I don't want to mention names. I've been lucky to have an individual who would give them money to say, look, I believe in what you're doing. Go ahead and do it, Beyond the glitz and glamour in this movie industry, there are, serious, people who, feel like philanthropists who say, oh, I believe in, here is the money. And some do it for business, right?
Okay.
I want to invest my money and I want to get return.
Give me a share of it.
Yes, and these are private individuals, who would invest. I have a friend who came all the way from America. He raised funds from friends and colleagues and stuff, and was able to produce his film. And so that's another outlet. So it depends on how you want to go about it. But the most important source of funds will be through government, which I believe maybe we'll talk about later. Is through government.
Okay. I want to take us back to this issue of involvement of technology, especially in the areas of ADR, VR,
Yeah.
CGI, because we look at films, that is where, especially CGI, advanced CGI,
Yeah.
and things like
Yeah.
that. What we do here mostly is drama.
Yeah.
We've not been able to step up to the kind of
CGIs.
CGI
Yeah.
action films that we see and the kind of things we see on screen. What do you think is causing all that? Is it the funding, or is it the fear of technology, or the capacity, just the technical know-how?
Capacity is
Okay.
one of the major hindrance in that regards. Abroad, they have studios. When I say studios, it's not just four walls, which we're going to come into, which we call Film Village. But they have studios where they specialize in CGIs, like Titanic now, the drowning of Jack and the rest was shot in the studio. Huge studio with the green curtain and CGI and all of that. So you need that. We don't have, I don't know where, again, I cannot say categorically that we don't have, but I haven't seen, where you'd have someone invest seriously in studio so that, producers can come in and then make use of that facility. Again, it costs a lot of money. And this is why I said governments need to create incentive. Government needs to create incentive to create such studio, not Film Village. There's a difference between Film Village and studios. So that would also help us a lot if we have for CGIs, but we need our studios and the transfer of technology and also training of manpower.
Okay, we'll be coming to this issue of incentive, because that is basically what Section 166 of the
Of the
Nigerian
Tax
Tax Act
Act, yeah.
really was about. So I want to leave that for further discussion
No
as we
problem.
proceed. Studios. We've seen the attempt to build these structures by a state government under Donald Duke.
Okay.
And that's TINAPA.
TINAPA, yeah.
That place now is so dilapidated. It has, I don't think,
shadow
since
of itself.
it's in fact. So why do you think that has happened? And must have been a huge dream when the conceptualization was done. Unfortunately, everything appeared to have fallen apart.
Yeah. One word, institutionalization. When you have such brilliant ideas, and I understand they spent over $300 billion as at that time.
Yeah, I think it's over 350 million US dollars as at that time.
350 million US
US dollars.
You see, and when you have such, and it's not backed by law or institutionalized, you ring fence to ensure that such place stays intact and it brings in money. Because if it is well taken care of, like I said, ring fence by law, it will exist. Whether Donald Duke is the governor or not, or whatever, it should go beyond whoever, birthed the idea. But if it is reliant on an individual dream, and as soon as a person lives there, it dies. But if you institutionalize the place and it's protected, filmmakers go there and then they use the facility and it gets, and you'll be surprised, neighboring countries, because Nigeria is such a powerhouse when it comes to film production, or if you like, movies in Africa or in West Africa. You find people from Ghana, Benin, they will come there and make use of such facilities. But because of lack of institution, like I said, to back this thing up. That's why you have a place like TINAPA. It's dilapidated. It's in shambles, and it's a loss of revenue.
Very, very painful.
It is sad.
Actually.
It is sad.
And sad.
Some of the things we have to get right. We have to. Lagos State is trying to build studios now from projections here and there, including individuals coming, but it needs to be protected. It mustn't rest on the initiative of the Lagos State Governor, for instance, Sanwo-Olu, because as soon as he lives there and there is no continuity, the same is going to happen. The same fate is going to happen to it.
Can we, because this now brings me to this issue of incentive now.
Yeah.
If you compare that and look at the studios in South Africa, because the studios in South Africa are usually booked for the entire year.
Yeah.
And most producers come from overseas. They book those studios over here. And even recently, I hear the issue between UK and Hollywood, that most Hollywood movies are shot in the UK.
Yeah, they are.
And things like that.
Yeah.
As a result of certain incentives that are given to foreign producers to come and
have their shoot.
Yeah. If you have such in Nigeria under the tax code, whereby foreign producers are given a kind of incentive to come and shoot their films, probably that would have saved TINAPA, don't you think so?
Yes, it will, definitely. And again, going back to institution, if you don't have that to protect, such edifice or initiative, you can't, attract foreign investors to come or foreign filmmakers to come, because then they run into, there's no law safeguarding their business interests and investments. You understand? But if they come and then there is, for instance, I don't want to say area boys, or so maybe some local migrants say, no, you can't shoot here because you have to give us money now, blah, blah, and they don't feel safe, they won't come. You understand? So, and then incentives for them to come. Like I said, Nigeria is a power block when it comes to West Africa or even Africa. They want to come here. And then you can say, okay, if you're coming here to shoot, we have these facilities, if it's going to cost you 100 million to shoot your film, you're already net of 30%, which we're going to give you back, because as a result of you coming here, more people will come here. The government will generate a lot of revenue. You said something about the UK. Yes, a lot of American companies come to UK to shoot their film. Who gets the revenue? The UK government. But because I'll feel very secure to go to UK to shoot, because I know that I'm being protected by their laws, by everything, as opposed to coming to a country where none of that is existing. It's a big risk. So there isn't enough incentive, even for the local filmmakers or movie makers in Nigeria, talk less of, attracting international investors or filmmakers. But they want to come to Nigeria because Nigeria globally, when it comes to music, when it comes to Nollywood, when it comes to, we are there. So government needs to create this incentive. Individuals cannot do it.
Let's just dive into this incentive thing, because I have read the attempt at wanting to give incentive under the Nigerian Tax Act 2025.
Yeah.
And what section 166 was clearly stating was to create a priority sector and priority service and product, under which you go to the 10th schedule and you find the list of priority sectors. And that is where you find motion pictures, and that's where it's been situated. What that section has done is that for you to qualify, you have to put down an investment of 5 billion.
Yes, so I read.
Now, you put down an investment of 5 billion. In
Naira,
yes. You put down investment of 5 billion. And of course, this will be in areas of provision of infrastructure. Now, if you look at the ecosystem, no independent producer will have 5 billion naira and invest in provision of infrastructure. He is more interested in breathing life into the story and bring it to life. So he will rather invest his money in production of films. So instead of the qualifying capital expenditure, which is stated in the law to qualify, which is the 5 billion, probably they should...
What do you qualify for? 15%?
Okay, that's the sunset period. That's 15 years.
Yeah, 15 years,
15 years, yes. Yeah, that's the sunset period. So, and of course, you go through the certification through Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission.
Yeah.
Once they ascertain that investment has been done, and then you get the certificate, That's under the Economic Development Incentive, the EDI. So you obtain that. It's 15 years.
15 years.
But my take on that is that it's targeting those that want to put down the infrastructure.
Yeah.
It's not targeting the independent producer who actually put life into the script and we see on screen. So why in South Africa, for example, this is where I want us to really tap into your
Conversation.
in South Africa, for example, what they have, they target the producers and they call it qualifying South Africa production expenditure,
Okay.
not capital expenditure,
Right, okay.
production expenditure. So if you are producing your film, how much will it cost you to produce the film? If it's going to cost you 10 million, 20 million, for example, to produce that film, you are entitled to a rebate of about 25-35%.
Yeah.
That's for local producers. If it's for a foreign producer, in order to encourage foreign producers, which now brings us to the issue we were discussing earlier about the TINAPA. If you are having a foreign producer producing in South Africa, they have a rebate on the South Africa qualifying production expenditure of 25%.
See?
So it's money back
Yeah.
in the pocket of the producers.
Yeah.
But in our own instance, we appear to have forgotten the producer and concentrate on qualifying capital expenditure, which is just putting down solid infrastructure for this production. Do you think that is right, or do you think it's an oversight?
Okay, this is what I have read, about, some of the tax reform they're talking about. And when it comes to money, to funds, I think they say there are two categories, The first one is for you to qualify, to get 100 either $1 million, it can be $1 billion. In some of the document, they wrote $1 billion, $100 million and above, and then that's his category A, and then the other category is anything below $100 million for you to access that funds. They make it available. Now, but back to your question about investing $5 billion, you'll be surprised that, some, but they'll probably not be producers now. Some investors would want to do that because the cost of getting the space itself, it's a lot. Might already hit 1 billion, for instance. And then when you put your structure on top, would hit 5 billion. And there are some who can do 5 billion. There are investors who can say, oh, this is where everyone is going, and I know I can recoup my money within the next 5 years and all that. But then that cuts off, like you said, the real engine, which are the producers who just like to, if I have 10 million now, I want to just do a skits, put it on YouTube and let it go on. I know it will. Passion is driving those, producers. But as regards for me to put 5 billion down, if I'm a movie producer or whatnot, you are very right in thinking that I will not want to do that. I would rather use my 5 billion and do like 10, 15 films, within a year or so. But that is not encouraging for investors to come tie down, 5 billion, waiting just to enjoy 15 years of, I don't know, after going through the rigor, tax credits. But there are those who will look into that. There are those who will invest in that. I don't know whether what our friend Kunle Afolayan has could qualify as that, because, if you look at his investment, he's already hitting that 5 billion. All right. But there are those, like I said, who want to, and then again, Nigerians, they like to do what we call follow. Oh, Kunle has got a film village, for instance, and somebody else wants to have a film village, and another person wants to have a film village, and it's like, if you do it, then I can do it. But in terms of accessing funds, that's another discussion that I think we should really talk about.
What I'm looking at is to see where the South African model is giving back, is looking at production costs, which directly target the independent producer, giving them a rebate of 20-25%, which is putting money back into their pocket for reinvestment in the production of their next project.
Yeah, but we don't have such in Nigeria.
But in our law, what we are looking at is capital investment.
Yes.
And capital investment in the ecosystem of the industry is either you are putting a structure down or you are buying film equipment. So it has completely, in my view, cut off the independent producer who is interested in just making films.
All right. Now, if I'm to answer that, then we have to go back to those who are actually writing the law or crafting the law, if you like, the policymakers here in this case, who maybe it's an oversight, if you like, or, maybe it's a deliberate thing to just cut off, and when you cut off the engine, definitely the car will stop working. All right. They did not factor in the producer, the independent producer, who has been, despite all odds, going on,
to produce this film.
To produce this film, to push Nollywood into global attention. So whether government comes in or not, Nollywood is still surviving, but it's something government should look at. And maybe this our conversation would generate that. Would generate a lot of noise around this. You can't cut off the producers. Particularly, we talk about encouraging foreign investment, direct investment. If you don't do that, if you don't create the incentive for people to come in and say, oh, like we have in other climes, US, UK, South Africa, when you come in, you get certain rebates of your budget. I would want to go in there because then I know, I'm going to make some money back. We don't have it for local producers in Nigeria, talk less of international incentives. I haven't seen that. So the question of the new tax reform law has to be looked at again to make room for independent producers to benefit from this, and not only capital investors.
Capital investors are
picture.
Is it? It could be probably that the Ministry of Art and Culture and even the filmmakers themselves are not fully involved when these laws are being crafted, so that the drafters of the law will have a proper understanding of how the film industry works. So I don't think it will be a deliberate thing, because they want to give a kind of incentive for investment to come in. That's the overall objective here.
Yeah.
So maybe it has to do with the filmmakers themselves not understanding or kind of removing themselves from the entire process when these laws are being drafted and ideas have been called upon.
Well, from what you just said now, my mind went straight to two things.
Okay.
It's either that government crafted this law to encourage foreigners to come in and invest such huge amount of money in Nigeria, or that they know that the amount of money in Nigeria in the system, they can get investors to buy into this and then build 5 billion naira worth of. Anyway, again, government may not be too far from, may not be too wrong, in the sense that, look at it, we're talking about, let's say, real estate now. Everywhere there is real estate. Abuja, this and that. Everybody is building real estate. And then you say, where do they find the money? Where's the money? Everyone is hungry, but then you find real estate springing up. Perhaps government is reading the room to say, yeah, if people will bring out the money and invest, But going back to your point, they are cutting off the engine, because the real people who can sustain this industry are the producers.
Exactly.
They are the producers. And beyond Nigeria, like I cited earlier, there are other producers in West Africa or Africa who would like to come in. And once Nigeria opens up its door, people will come in. Look at the boats. Which one? The F1, the boats thingy they had
the
recently.
in Lagos. Yeah.
You see how huge it was. That's tourism. People came in, you know. So if government really looks into this thingy, this law thingy, open it up and encourage, local producers, it will work.
It will work.
So again, I don't think I think it's a deliberate thing. For this same reason that I said, maybe government thinks people in this country can actually bring out the money and invest.
Okay, but if you are looking at it as a deliberate thing, I'm not seeing it that way. That is deliberate.
Yeah.
I see it more like there is need for more engagement so that people understood clearly how these things work. But if you look at, I want to re-emphasize, if you look at, if we have this rebate to be given to either local independent producers locally, or we have a co-production agreement wherein you have an international producer coming to shoot, and we have the infrastructure like the Tinapa we mentioned earlier, it could have probably saved Tinapa.
Definitely it would. Not could have, it would.
Save Tinapa because foreign investors, foreign producers will come in to use those facilities.
Yes.
But if we keep having these structures and the independent producers could not raise the kind of money to use those infrastructure, they will fall just like Tinapa has fallen.
Yeah, I agree totally. That's why I said that government needs to revisit that, and I'm sure it's still going to generate a lot of buzz, because when they see that the people who are supposed to benefit from this law, they are not benefiting. Even government will not benefit, because then government cannot make money from the tax. If the independent producer were using these facilities, or they have the incentive to shoot and then get a rebate back, they would come in and government would make money. They would also get incentive. They'll produce more. Government is the one losing in this case.
It will interest you to also know that in the case of the startup, because it encourages, because this is where the Ministry of Culture, Tourism come into play. Like in the case of the South Africa, I was trying to check the period, I think within a 6-month period, August of 2023 to around June, I can't remember, of 2024. The data showed that foreign production in South Africa got hotel bed space, per night, about 52 or 56,000.
Wow.
So if you have a foreign production companies coming to shoot in Nigeria, it open up the tourism industry, because imagine within 6 or 7 months, hotels will be packed full. Fully booked. And they are bringing in some of their people. And of course, that will mean the local staff will also benefit from technology transfer. Can I call it that? Or knowledge
I think
upgrading, capacity upgrading with this foreign, which again, it will enhance our own local film production here.
Yes, you're right. I think with such incentives, there are certain things that they say within, if you're coming in to benefit from such incentive or rebate, your production team probably Nigerian will constitute maybe 30%,
usually
they usually have all of that.
It's there in the South African agreement.
They usually have that.
You shoot on location for 60% of the shot will be done within South Africa.
Within
for
South
you
Africa.
To benefit from getting the 25-30% rebate.
But again,
that's for foreign producers.
Yes, then we're also talking about technology transfer.
Yeah.
Because when you bring certain equipment and you are supposed to engage, a local talent, for instance, you have to also put them through how to use this, how to use that. So it will benefit the country
Exactly.
So that's why I said the law has to be looked at again so that we can benefit. I mean, the local producers can benefit in terms of technology transfer, in terms of even tax, that will make money, that will revenue that will make from this. So government has to go back. Anyway, it's not been tested yet. It's a new law which is going to come in. Has it come into effect?
No, it's
2025.
coming,
Next year.
January
Exactly.
2026.
A lot is going to happen in January when it comes to tax reform in Nigeria. But then it's going to be tests, and they call it reform, but
No, it's beyond reform. It has,
it's
still
now
reform.
coming. Yeah,
It's a law now.
It's a law, but
Well,
but you're still going to test
that
it.
is going to be implemented.
Yes, but then they still have to test it, because if it is not working, then they need to revisit it.
Do you think there is a role for the Ministry of Culture, as well as probably the Guild, a role for them to begin to look at this thing again?
They have a big role, particularly the guilds, and well, I'm not sorry to say, but the guilds that we have in Nigeria, we have guilds and we don't have guilds, because what they are interested in, I'm the president of so guild, I'm this, and then you see them, the infighting. That's not what they're supposed to be doing. Guilds are supposed to look at these policies and see how their members can benefit from policies. Not, now we have two factions, I'm the head of this. That is mainstream politics.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to serve in the guilds or whatnot, you're supposed to say, okay, how can my people benefit from this as a guild? Let us put our best foot forward. Government, this law, we have looked at it. This is what we see that is. Can we, implement this? Can we? For instance, the rebates we talked about, the guilds are supposed to shout. Have you heard any of them doing any shouting or any workshop or whatever, or looking at government tax reform? Nobody is doing that. It's going to come into effect in January, and then what happens? Boom, it's too late.
No,
it's at the stage of reform or whatever that they're supposed to say, okay, let us be part of this.
This is what should happen. In the case of Nigeria, they are not talking of a rebate. They are talking of tax credit.
Yeah, tax credit.
The tax credit, of course, we know if it's a non-refundable tax credit.
Yes, I know.
Yeah,
but we need to put our house in order, particularly the guilds or the associations, or even the unions that we have, because it's going to affect everybody. To say, okay, government has this, policy that is coming out. What is our position?
Yeah.
How do we benefit from it? You understand? It's going to come into effect January. We're talking about, okay, tax credits. What about, in fact, way back when I think Mahmoud Ali Balogun was the president of NANTAP, he pushed for government to give the theater or artists tax incentives. Let's say 5 years you don't pay any tax until you're strong enough and all that, so that companies can be strong, creative company can be strong to say, okay, for 5 years I'm on tax holiday, let me do as much as I can, so that on the 6th year, and definitely transparency you have to be transparent in terms of your income and your expenditure, so that government can see your true book and then tax you. But the creative industry also needs such incentives.
Actually,
if not,
in the old law, you have the pioneer status, which is talking about tax holiday.
Yeah, tax holiday.
I believe that was what he wanted. But that was bedeviled by so many issues,
as usual.
So that has been improved with this new provision of Section 166 of the Nigerian Tax Act. The issue I'm just looking at is that it's okay, but it's not targeting. That's my only issue.
I hear you.
It's not targeting the producers who breathe life into
the industry.
Yeah. And this is where the bulk of employment happens.
Yes.
Because if you're a producer, you are going to employ a whole lot of people:
Yeah.
the
Costume,
director, the
yeah.
costume,
Yeah.
the actors,
Yeah.
and we hear, even though I've not seen the data from reputable kind of, we don't keep data
No.
of what is happening in that industry, but I've read somewhere that the industry have the capacity to employ millions
Yes.
of people if you look at the number of films that have been done every day. So these are the people that actually are employing
Yeah. The value chain.
and in the value chain, but they are, by this law, appear to have been cut off,
Yeah.
and the benefit goes to those who have the
Capital.
money to put the infrastructure
Yeah.
down in terms of
Investors.
the studios
Yeah.
and equipment. But if the independent producers do not have the fund to produce the film, they will
What do
fall
you think is
apart.
going to
They will fall
exactly?
apart like Tinapa.
Yeah.
That's just
Yeah.
my take on
And
it.
yes, we're saying the same thing. I'm
Okay.
just delving more into why it shouldn't be so.
All right.
You know, and the roads for the guilds and even government, you know, they have a lot of conversation, you know, to hold between themselves, particularly the guilds, you know, and if none of that is happening, like you said, what happened to Tinapa is going to happen to whatever tax reform they are bringing up. So we need rebates. We need more incentives for the producers. They need to have a conversation. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
Let's look at even this infrastructure.
Yes.
Kunle Afolayan have done wonderfully well. In fact, when you were talking of the new Nollywood,
yes.
I believe it constitutes
Yes.
that.
Yeah, he falls within the new
he
Nollywood.
fall within that because
Definitely.
he has done fantastic things
Yeah.
with his films
Yeah.
and things like that. But recently, the Film Village is just commissioned.
Yeah.
Now, that is more of tourism. I look at
Yeah.
that Film Village.
As
It's
a
more like a
result.
hotel,
Yeah.
tourism and things like that. Will that qualify? Would that
Under the
qualify
new tax
under the new tax act
act.
as, you know, provision of infrastructure for the purpose of motion picture?
Well, he's
Do you
that-
call that a film village?
exactly, but he's put it out as a film village.
Yes.
Which, you know, if he gets the proper documents together and all of that, it could qualify. And definitely, you and I would agree that, you know, it's over 5 billion, or I think in today's Nigeria, getting the land and putting the structure there. So it might qualify.
From your experience,
Yes.
I haven't seen film villages, film sets all over the world, in
Yeah,
US, in
yeah.
UK, and would that qualify?
Well, not really. I mean, if you ask me, from if we talk about Tyler Perry, for instance,
Yeah.
you know, he's got studios, he's got, you know, you can call it film village if you like, because all sorts can be done there. We're talking about infrastructure. We're talking about proper equipment that is needed. You know, it's huge capital investment. I wouldn't qualify Kunle Afolayan's film village as, you know, in that, I wouldn't put it in that same pedestal. But if you look at the Nigerian maybe environment, it could pass. It could qualify. Don't let me say pass. It could qualify. But in terms of proper structure, for instance, in film villages abroad, you could have a whole, let's say the whole of Shangotedo being a film village where you'd have roads, you have street lights, you have banks, you have all of that. You know, it's built up city, you know, for you to come in there and do your film, where no area boys will come and accost you to say, oh, give us this and all of that.
At least you I don't think area boys will.
No, they won't. But I'm just saying. So yes, but Lagos State is also thinking of one around that Ekpe, you know, side. Yes, and from what I see, it's going to be very huge, and I think it's been commissioned. They commissioned it early this year. Some major actors were there to, you know, Whether it comes to fusion now, it's another thing.
Okay, enlighten me.
Yes.
You are the expert here when it
Yeah.
comes to films. I've seen, of course, we know studios have been built. These
Yeah.
are the like of Tinapa
Yeah.
and what Tyler Perry you mentioned
Yes.
is studios
Yeah.
and things like that. But we've seen other sets where they are temporary structures,
Okay.
and they build a whole city using temporary structures. After they film, they knock
strike
it
it
off,
down, yeah.
and the entire place is just open field. Will that also qualify if you have an open field where filmmakers can come build their structures, do their film, and knock off their things and
Yeah, but
build their sets?
that is a film village. That's the film village. Yeah, because you can't have fixed structure in a film village, which means other people cannot use it. There are certain aspects that will be fixed. There are certain aspects that will be panel, you put together, and then you also have the studio facilities where, let's say, 100 meters by maybe 120 or whatever could be a studio where you can come in there and shoot.
Build
Green curtains,
sets.
you can have a swimming pool, you can bring in a swimming pool to show that the sea scene or whatever, like in Titanic and all that. They are huge studios and they qualify as film village, where when you come in there, maybe if it is drama you're doing, they have a studio for that. You go, you do your stuff there. They have the open place where you can put in your sets. Once you're done, you strike it off. That's a film village.
Okay, probably there will be need for the definition
Yes.
of what should constitute for these film villages, or what should constitute part of to qualify for. I'm just assuming.
Yeah.
I'm just assuming. Maybe there will be that someone who is knowledgeable enough to provide this kind of definition, classification for who is investing, to know where they are investing in order for them to qualify. I haven't said that. Where do you see Nollywood in another 5-10 years?
Nollywood is still going to grow far, especially in the age of AI. Especially in the age of AI. It's technology driven. Nollywood, for instance. If I go back, remember the days of U-matic tape and linear editing. Before you have and linear editing, you want to render, you probably put it in the computer, and then you go to maybe your village in Abeokuta. By the time you come back, it's rendered maybe 45% and all of that. But nowadays, it's faster. And then AI is also enabling this. AI, the CGI we're talking about, AI can do it within, twinkle of an eye. So if Nollywood, not even if, Nollywood is going to tap into that, and fresher players will come in who've got better ideas, just like we've had over the years. And I also have to give kudos to have to mention people like Bolanle Austin Peters, especially the females, Kunle Adetiba, Jade Sola, Jade Shiberu, Toyin Abraham, Funke Akindele, all of these amazing, female producers. They come in, they've shaped it up and all that. But more players are going to come who are going to be far, far better than the likes of Bolanle Austin Peters and co. That's the way the things go.
Can we situate it in this manner that the current players are probably not dreaming big enough to take us to that level of advanced CGI that we can compete globally with, move away from all this drama and into something huge? Is it that they don't dream enough?
I think.
What exactly do you think is limiting their creative potential?
They are not collaborating enough with, other major players in the industry. In fact, there has been a bit of collaboration between Nollywood and Bollywood, even Nollywood and Hollywood, but it is not enough. If you're talking about dreaming big, I think there should be, a serious move to collaborate more with all these foreign filmmakers. That's where the CGI you're talking about and whatnot, will come into effect. I think Nigerian movie producers are dreaming, and that's why we have what's it called, King of Boys and some other films. Even Funke Akindele, he's doing fantastically well. She's dreaming. If she didn't dream so big, we wouldn't have her achieve so much, But maybe not dreaming enough, in the sense that they are not collaborating, and they have the key now to go to Hollywood and say, listen, this is who I am. We want to do this. Can we, I believe Hollywood will listen to them.
Maybe if we have, like we've been saying,
yes,
if we have this rebate thing of 20-25%,
yes,
it probably will bring
so that's why I said collaboration.
We assist in this collaboration you are talking
because
about.
You say, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think this Ebony Life woman, what's her name? Mo
Abudu,
went to Dubai to shoot one of her films, and
wedding party,
and she got a lot of incentives from that. So let our local producers dream big. Nollywood is global. It's a global phenomenon that has opened doors, but you have to be a strong player. Well, maybe not necessarily, but I know some people have been using Nollywood to open doors abroad, to do things. Oh, I'm a Nollywood producer. Oh, Nollywood, yeah. So they need to dream bigger. They need to collaborate for these rebates and when they go to all these other countries, maybe Brazil or whatnot, they will get this incentive. So they need to dream big. They need to collaborate to be able to get this rebate. Don't wait for government, because only when you do it, government then will want to tap in and say, oh yes, okay, we are now ready to, but accessing the funds is another problem which we have to look at, so I see all of these things happening in the next 5 years, 5-10 years, with the aid of AI, because AI is really driving the whole world now. And Nigeria, we know they carry last now. We know they carry last.
Let's look at these streaming platforms.
Yeah.
There's something happening which I've observed. Despite the presence of Netflix and other
Prime,
you find most producers now have their YouTube channels, and they tend to do their films and take it to their channels. And to me, does that help the industry?
It will help the industry a lot. Unduka Obaigbena of these days, Arise these days,
owner of these days,
yes, owner of these days, has just launched his own platform.
Okay, I've seen Leke.
Yes. Now, talking about dream, this is the dream you're talking about. Let them dream big. Let us have platforms so that we are not under the mercy of Netflix or Prime or whatever. Someone built those platform, and I think Mo Abudu also has our own now. There are a lot of platforms coming up to showcase, Nigerian creative outputs, which is very good. So otherwise, platforms like YouTube will continue to benefit because producers want outlets. Gone are the days of where, I have an idea, I want to go to NTA and I have to pay for airtime, I have to pay for this, I have to pay for that. It's all gone. Right? It's all gone. Because if you don't have money, you can't showcase your talent. You can't say, this is what I have. Thank God to the digital platform. And then, which was what I wrote my PhD on, the digital switchover. We don't know when that is ever going to happen. It should happen.
What is causing the delay with regards to that?
Oh my God, you don't want me to go into that. because like I said, that's my specialty. But what I've discovered, right, is that government does not want the digital switchover to happen. Forget it.
Why
But
would
if we go
government?
into that,
Why will government not want that if it's going to improve government revenue?
do they want that to happen?
I don't know. You are the expert here.
Exactly. I think from my research, it's also a political thing. The government hasn't got the political will to make it happen for so many reasons. They still want to take control of what the populace in terms of information. You understand? Even though we have independent producers now, we have NBC to regulate. NBC is like the policeman. You do beyond whatever they shut you down or whatnot.
Okay.
But you see, if we have the digital platform, just like with what's it called now, YouTube and social media, I don't think they can have so much control over what is put out there, even though they have NBC. But I mean, that's a whole argument. But I think government is the one. Not I think. From my research, government is the one stifling
the progress of that.
Yes, the switchover, the transition to digital switchover.
Now that we're having several platforms where the producers, independent producers, can showcase their work, their content. I hope, and it won't be like the film houses, where it appears to me as if the independent producers are ripped off. They take their films, their content to film houses, and in most cases, you see an arrangement of 70, 20, 70, 30, 80, 20%, where the film houses take the chunk of everything and leave the...
but it has to be. It has to be, because you have the structure. Costs a lot of money. You're just going to come in there with your film, right? And then you're done. You carry your film and you go. What about rent? What about staffing? What about... It has to be. Unless, yes.
But the independent producer has spent so much in his production cost.
Yes.
And he has to recoup that.
It has. But you can't recoup that in 1 year, for instance. You can't recoup that in 30 days.
Then why would the film houses want to take... Because they still take the entertainment aspect of it, the popcorn, the drinks.
Yes.
They take all that.
Well, that's the way the thing is structured.
Is that how it's been done in UK?
I think, because I mean, when a film opens, and it's, when the film night or whatever, you don't only show in one cinema. You can show globally as a result of whatnot, and then you recoup money. We're talking about when they declare, Funke Akindele has made 1 billion in the cinemas and all of that. It's all over cumulatively. By the time they remove theirs and give her hers as well, perhaps she might be able to cover production costs. Okay, it's the residual income from there. Don't forget, the residual income is still that of the film producer or film producer, which is forever. Whenever you show it, you must have you perhaps recoup your investment, and what is left, is just residual income. But I don't. I'm just saying that's the way it is structured. You may think it's not fair, but if it is not fair, then they will tell you, go and build your own cinema and show your film there.
Because again, they take 80% of that, which goes to their pocket.
Yeah.
They enjoy the tax credit based on what we currently have in the Nigerian Tax Act. And then the independent producer is left with nothing.
Yes. Well, in terms of, if you look at it that way, yes, I have to lean towards the film producers now to say, well, what can be done? And I'm sure there are other things that can be done, to allow them benefit. But the way it is structured right now is the investors who've got the physical structure that benefits more, And I think this is done. This law is all over the world. It's international. It's not just particular to Nigeria alone.
Okay.
No, I don't think so.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Lukman Sanusi.
It's a
One
pleasure.
last word for my viewers.
Continue to be driven by passion. Of course, also be business minded. Don't do art for art's sake, because that's where some of us started from. Oh, art for art's sake. Well, as long as I'm just enjoying myself. You have to think of old age. You have to think of what would sustain you after the spotlight is no longer on you, because that's one thing with the art. Right now the spotlight is on you, you're enjoying it. By the time the spotlight moves, what's going to happen? How are you going to sustain yourself? So you have to be smart, but be driven by passion first of all. But you have to also be smart, diversify your investments, particularly look into IP, intellectual property. Was if you're if you're an actor, producer, whatever, you're entitled to receiving residual income. So look into that. Equip yourself, with knowledge. Get the right team, and then you'll be able to survive.
Thank you, Dr. Lukman Sanusi.
Thank you for
for
having me.
honoring us with your presence.
It's a pleasure.
And
I have learned a lot from
having
you.
this conversation with you. We hope to continue to have this conversation in the interest of the industry. I know you are passionate about it.
I am passionate.
And
I've got my own cinema too,
yes. Yeah, I know that. Maybe we'll take a tour of that cinema some other time, in the near future, not in the long run, but in the near future. It's wonderful having you on this set.
Thank you, sir.
I'm having this discussion with you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for coming, sir.
Thank you, sir.
So we have again come to the end of this particular episode. Thank you for staying and watching. Hope you have gotten some educated about certain things. You have your comments, whatever, you please put your comment to us so that we can respond appropriately to you. We want to hear from you, and next we'll bring you, as we say, another very interesting topic. We continue to discuss this tax reform, and so that you are not caught up in the implementation of the reform, how it benefits you, what you can do. We'll continue to bring experts to discuss this issue. Thank you for staying on. Thank you.